Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of a different style on the E92 update. I'm going to update you guys as I go through my day. So we are in the E36. We're about to drive to the farm. Of course, I had to stop and get my Starbucks. It's fall season, and I love pumpkin spice lattes. I got about an hour drive ahead of me, and we'll get to the farm, and hopefully, we're bringing home the E92 today. All right, I have arrived at the shop. Let's get that first light. Let's turn on the air compressor. Oh, I guess it's already turned on. Good to go. Let's get some more lights open. Let's get this bay door open. Let's get all the lights in here. Oh yeah, now it's nice and bright. On the engine, I don't really have too much. I got to plug in that sensor, put the air box back on, fill it up with oil, start it up, flush the oil out, do the same thing with coolant. And then basically after that, we can start cleaning up, put some wheels on it, drop it down, take it for a test drive, come back, adjust the coilovers if needed. We don't have too much to do today. Okay, I got this plugged in, and then I got the two hoses coming over for the oil catch can. Okay, so I put in 5 liters of the cheapest oil I could get, and then we're also going to be putting in this engine flush. We're going to run that in there. Once I start it up, I'll let that run for about 10 minutes, and then we'll just drain it out and then put actual synthetic oil in there. Disconnected the lower rad hose, try to get as much as that green coolant out of there as possible. All right, air intake's back on, oil catch can is on, we got oil in it, I put some coolant in it. It's time to start it up. All right, this is the first startup after tearing it down. Let's see how it goes. Cranking a couple times. Just got to pump the fuel in there, so. There we go. It's alive. He's alive. It is running. We're smoking a little bit, but that's probably just a little bit of oil coming off the exhaust system as the exhaust heats up. Not too worried about that. Nothing's leaking, so that's a good sign already. All right, I'm gonna run it for 10 minutes. While I'm doing that, let's try and clear some codes. Look at all these codes here. Let's just erase them, and then we'll see which ones pop back up. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. These are the codes that keep coming up: boost pressure, camshaft signal, and a misfire in cylinder 5. Seems the oil is still coming up here, so it could just be more oil burning off, or the turbo O-ring oil feeds could be gone. You can already see the oil filter gasket is done, but we're going to replace that, so that's not a big deal. Now I'm going to flush out the fluid. We're going to change the spark plugs. We're going to restart it up and see if we're still getting a misfire in cylinder 5. Here's the oil I just took out of the car. 10 minutes of running, and it's as black as you'd expect after 10,000 kilometers. That's how much sludge was inside that engine. Okay, so all the spark plugs are out, and I got 5 of the new ones in. We're putting the NGK Laser Iridium one-step colder spark plugs in. You can see the difference. Looks like those ones are OEM. I don't think they're terrible, but definitely need new ones. Looks like my 3 minutes is up, so I'm going to continue this with a part 2. Okay, so this is a car that I plan on driving for the winter time. This is my E92 project. If you guys haven't been staying up to date, then check out the other videos, but let's give you guys an update. Part 2, finishing off what I'm doing today. Just got all of the spark plugs replaced. Opened up the coolant line, drained out a bunch of the coolant as well, so we're going to top that back up. Okay, spark plugs are in, oil's topped up, coolant's topped up. Let's start up again. Before I start up, I'm going to erase all the engine codes, see what we can do. I swapped out cylinder 5 and cylinder 1 coil pack to see if it makes a difference. Instant engine light. It's running smooth though. Okay, engine light came back, but the cylinder 5 misfire is gone. Crankshaft inlet and boost pressure control deactivation. I'll have to look into those. So I just drained out the transmission fluid. There it is there. Just the last little bits are going out, and we're going to top the transmission fluid back up. This is the transmission fluid that I'm going to be putting back into it. Okay, transmission fluid is all topped up. Just clean away that oil right there, some brake clean. Now let's do the differential. So I went to take the plug out, and then it's dripping right away. That tells me it's full. And then it's like nice golden brown oil, which tells me that it actually is pretty fresh oil. So I'm not going to bother pulling out fresh oil just to replace it. If this was like a dark gray or black, then I would have done so. But it looks like the diff is good, so I'm just going to put the plug back. All right, time to put this brace back on. I was missing one of the bolts and washers, whatever, so I grabbed one of those, put it all back together. Okay, wheels are on. Okay, so the main under tray is back on. I didn't put the rest of the under trays on because they're a mess. Most of them just came out all broken, so I'm going to look at getting new ones for all the rest of the under trays. But we got the main one on. Now we can put it onto the ground. Hey, it is finally back on the ground. Looks like I put the coilovers a little too high in the front. We got a pretty big gap there. We'll fill that. The rears, they came out pretty much right spot on of where I'd want it, so I don't think I'll be adjusting the rears. That's mint. Just a few things on the engine bay that I want to tighten up. Put the filters in there, put the strut bars back on, and then we'll take it for the test drive. And then when I come back, we'll jack it up and we'll lower that front suspension. Okay, air filter cowls are on. I'm going to pull it out of the garage now, and then I'll start cleaning up my disaster of a shop because I got tools everywhere. I'll leave it running, let it start to warm up, and then bleed the coolant system, and then I'll start cleaning the shop while I'm doing that. Okay, so I got the license plates on. That actually took me a little longer than I thought. Bracket was tight, and then I just replaced the shocks because I had a vice grip holding that one up. Another time again, we'll do a part 3. Okay, so I guess this is actually part 3 of my day. We actually got the car out of the garage, finally. I like where the rear suspension is at. The front, I need to lower that after my test drive. I'm just letting the car run and get up to temperature so I can bleed the coolant system. Crack the bleeder valve, let that drip out for a bit. Looks like we got a little bit of smoke coming up from the back. It could just be more stuff getting burnt off the turbos, or it could be the turbo oil feed O-rings are actually needing replaced. So yeah, I just want to get up to temperature before I start driving. I don't want to have it overheating while I'm there. I'd rather bleed the coolant now. A little smoky out the exhaust tips. Look over how clean these wheels are. Like even the inside is like super clean. Like these wheels were used for 1 season before I picked them up. The tread is amazing on them. Okay, we just got back from the first test drive. Coolant is holding tight. Reading the codes, it felt like there was no power. Like it didn't mind accelerating up to 100, but when you went from 20% to 100% throttle, it was all the same. And we're still getting boost pressure. So it's literally like it's getting no boost at all. That's exactly what it feels like. As soon as I clear the codes, like they come right back. Another thing that's concerning to me is it's still smoking over here. When I came back from the test drive, there was so much smoke going up. So it's either like my valve cover gasket is leaking like right away, or the turbo O-rings are just like way worse. But I don't know what it would be causing the smoke to be so bad. We're gonna see if I can figure that out. Has no problem revving. Rev's fine. There's no misfires, no breaking up or anything like that. But it's like it's not building boost. Hazards are on. Both of those are good. The side one's good. And coming around to the front one's out. So I gotta change that light bulb. The code that I was reading for the boost is apparently like the boost solenoid. So I'm gonna take a look in here. Well, maybe I shouldn't be too surprised I have a boost leak. There's like this right angle vacuum line piece that did not go back into the car. So I don't know where that goes. Maybe that's it. I can visually see how much cleaner it is in there and how much that engine flush really did flush out the sludge, because it was so much more sludgy in there. Okay, now I got the injector cover on. I've got this cover on. I got the heat shield on the hood back. So the engine bay is pretty much tightened up. I don't think I'm going to adjust the suspension today. I'm pretty tired. I'm just going to continue cleaning up the shop, clean up as much of the tools as I can, wash the floor and stuff, and then we're gonna head home. Wasn't able to diagnose why I'm not getting any boost, but it's still driving. There's just not that much power, and I'll get a mechanic at Parkview to diagnose it for me. Before I head home, I do want to touch up my seat a little bit. A little black duct tape on the seat for now. Shop is all cleaned up. E36 is parked away. I got all my stuff pushed to the side. I washed the floors. Everything is looking super clean. I'm gonna drive the E92 home. Hopefully I make it. I figure if it goes into limp mode, I'll just clear the codes and then maybe they'll get me through, or I may end up getting a tow truck. Let's find out. Appreciate all the support with this little series from my E92. Driving home, stopped at Petro Canada, put in some 94 octane in it. I was popping the hood with the flashlight and no more smoke was coming up. So I think whatever was on the exhaust manifold is now just all burnt away and nothing continually is smoking in the engine bay. So I drove about 10 kilometers to get to the gas station. And so far, the E92 has been all right. I mean, the check engine light has been on. I got some airbag lights on, so we're going to scan for that. But driving it is just like no boost. It's not going into limp mode, but it's just not giving me any boost, just like low power. And I'm just putting it cruising at like 110, and it's no problem. I've been listening with like no music because I like to hear the car for the first bit. And it's like making this weird noise from the rear end. I don't know if it's like just what the exhaust system is or if it's like the differential or anything. The differential looked pretty good, but I don't really know or it could just be like E92 and it just sounds a little bit different from the E36. I'm sure once I start playing some music, I won't actually be able to hear the sound anymore. I like to listen for everything. But overall, like, no vibrations, steering's good, suspension's good, brakes are good, like everything is pretty solid. The only issue I'm having is just I don't have any boost. God, I love this little scan tool. So airbag light is now gone, so that's awesome. I love this little scan tool. And I was also playing around, figured out what this does. There's like a hidden menu here on the E36, so that's pretty cool. At least the heat is working good and I don't smell any oil coming in, so that's what makes me also think cable so I can listen to some music. And at one point I accidentally like pressed that all the way in and I was just able to fish it out, so hopefully I can get that in there and I can listen to some music. So that's a no-go. It is now pressed down and I completely lost it and I can't find it, so radio on the way home it is. It does take a little bit to start. Cranks quite a bit. The first time I had the car, like even with everything leaking oil, it still cranked over right away, so I think that's to do with the engine code. Okay, I made it home by myself without a tow truck, so that's pretty awesome, and I'll be able to take it to work tomorrow, get the safety done, get the mechanic to take a look at it and all that stuff. Now, this comment for the E92 does make the most sense to me since I didn't touch the wastegate actuators, but I did touch the camshaft sensors when I was pulling all the wires out. Maybe I didn't plug them in enough. I did try to fix that before I went home, but it's pretty tight in there and I just wanted to get home and I figured I'd let the shop do it. I'm about to head there this morning. We'll drop it off to see what they say. I noticed this right when I came to the car. So I noticed this oil fresh right here. This is from the E36 from a while ago, but this is fresh oil from the E92. And right where it's located is right where the oil cooler is. And I can kind of see down there that there's oil right there. And then looks like there's oil pooling up right here. So I might need to replace this oil cooler feed line because I did replace those O-rings. So I know it's not the O-rings and it looks like it's coming from like right there at that connection. So we might have to replace that line when we get to work. I'll head into work, drop the car off at service, and then while I'm doing my sales during the day, they'll figure what's wrong with my car. We're also gonna be giving it a safety, a 55-point inspection, on alignment, probably checking in on the AC, a bunch of stuff. I'm driving to work and I just realized something about this car. It is a 6-speed manual. All last night, the hour and a half drive home, I didn't go out of 5th gear. I'm so used to the E36 being a 5-speed. I didn't realize that the E92 is actually a 6-speed. So I was cruising in 5th gear all last night at 120, 130 when I had a 6th gear that I didn't even use. Okay, so the car is out of the shop, safety is done, car is good to go. Turns out that I just didn't plug in the camshaft intake sensor all the way, and it was my own little fault. Mechanic plugged that in, cleared the code, it's running great, starts up right away. We think the noise at the back is the rear right wheel bearing, so I ordered up a wheel bearing kit. Also gonna need to get that oil cooler line, so I'm pricing all that stuff out. But now we're gonna take it for a drive, and hopefully we got some boost. Starts up right away, no problem, no more engine light, it's great. We still got the light bulb out for that turn signal, but it's okay, I just picked that up, so we're gonna put that in. Oh man, this thing rips. It's like halfway between more powerful than the E36, not as powerful as the M240. The turbos don't spool as fast, but we had boost all the way home. It was pretty awesome. Like the power is great, just stock and 54 power. I'm happy with it. I can definitely see the potential for this thing in the future, but happy that we worked that out. No more smoke coming up, so it looks like everything that was on that exhaust side is now just burnt off. Yeah, other than that, it's been great. We're gonna start working on a few things. We got all those parts ordered in, and we'll start working on those in the future. Now I'm just gonna daily it until next Thursday, and then next Thursday we'll head to the farm and we'll do the oil line, we'll adjust the ride height, we'll do a bunch of things. If you guys have any curious questions about the E92, just drop in the comments below.